Things grow at exponential rates. They're not linear. And if they're going to fail, they fail exponentially as well. They collapse. Our top priority right now is to repair the soil. Can't go on that way. We'll all just wind up dying.
If we stay on our course, we could look at a worldwide catastrophe.
In the United States, we're losing soil at 10 times the rate it takes to regenerate it.
We have plenty of civilizations over the course of time that didn't get that right. And so our challenge is, how do we make sure that we're not one of them?
We're still in kind of an extraction mentality, where it's what it costs us to bring it out of the earth. It's not what the earth has paid to get it in. We need to start shifting from a death-based or a harvest-based mentality into a life-based economy.
Industrial agriculture says we have to go with these machine-intensive, chemical-intensive means of producing food, and that is a false dichotomy.
The more you care for biodiversity, the more you care for the soil, the more food you actually grow.
The issue we're facing right now is two different futures.
You cannot feed the world from dead soil.
Then the ecosystem begins to unravel.
Things are collapsing everywhere. Food essentially has no nutrients in it these days.
People know that it's hurting people. People know that it's harming the environment, and they do it anyway.
We got to stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the solution.
Not one single solution that's going to solve every problem, but many, many small solutions that collectively will actually lead to a societal shift.
But it takes the will of the people, and I think that time is coming. I think that time is coming.
It didn't take very long for us to tear the soil apart, to tear it down. We need an equal solution, the inverse of that, to build it back up again. So what we've tried to do here is to take natural biological processes and accelerate the regeneration of soil. Something that would normally take decades or a few hundred years, we can do in a matter of hours or days.
Agriculture is the most destructive human activity on the planet. Can we feed the world without destroying it? The difference between death and life, between extinction and abundance, is the difference between dirt and soil. Just a handful of healthy soil contains more microorganisms than there are people on the planet. The entire food chain and our very existence is made possible by billions of tiny creatures coexisting right under our feet. Complexities of galactic proportions. Since the dawn of agriculture some 10,000 years ago, the simple act of tilling our land has been disruptive to fragile soil life. Its ability to hold water and turning soil carbon into atmospheric carbon dioxide. With the invention of machinery and powerful new chemicals, industrial agriculture has exponentially exacerbated the issue. Roughly 30 soccer fields worth of soil are lost every single minute. Today, 70% of our planet's soils have already been destroyed. At this rate, the Earth runs out of farmable soil in a mere 60 years. Without soil, all ecosystems outside of our oceans become impossible. We can either wake up before it's too late, or guarantee a path to consistent drought, extreme food scarcity, and catastrophic climate change? Is our only option a system with a built-in expiration date? Or will we acknowledge our responsibility to this planet and uphold our debt to future generations?
When I grow up, I'm gonna try to get a big backyard. Then I can plant almost like every fruit and vegetable. Maybe I'll get a huge fig tree. I drew it in my journal. Then I can tell my sisters, and then they'll be kind of like me, and then they'll start growing like a garden in their backyard.
Okay, I need you to sit nicely and finish your smoothie.
I've got 4 kids.
No!
Drinking your smoothie? Make sure you're drinking so we're not late, okay?
After seeing all the sugar being dished out to them, and that's kind of where my path started, was the abundance of sugar. And once I learned about that, it ended up leading to all kinds of different things. It was like a snowball effect.
It's pretty cool to help people see what's happening to the world and help them make a change in the world. You should really start thinking about what you eat. I'm gonna keep telling people to help, and they'll tell other people. Hopefully soon the planet will change to gardens and healthy people, and it will be a better place.
Wipe your place and then we gotta go. Who's taking the compost today? Man, buckle up. Okay.
She wants us to be healthy so we can be more active, we can do sports better, and we can think better.
So I figured the best place to start was where the food comes from.
When I saw when a seed grows to a giant plant, I thought it was pretty fascinating. Some people just don't get how fun gardening is. They think TV is way more important than what we're doing now. People should really learn about how to help your community and help yourself in life. It's important because then everyone will know where their food comes from and how things grow, because normally you don't really see it.
These farms here are what we're planning to build the next scalable step on. The idea that you can grow 100% organic, nutrient-dense food at warp speed, basically, over cement or man-made surfaces is what I feel is going to be a really amazing shift in the way we perform agriculture within the densely packed urban environment. Waste is not an option, and that's got to be a mantra that we all adopt.
This is Alicia.
Who's this?
Hi.
Wow, where'd you get such a nice smile?
We wanted to take a look and find out a little bit more about what you've got going on here.
Oh, fantastic. Come on, let's go over and we'll check out some vertical towers. You can put about 40 plants in 2 square feet. Extremely resource efficient, 90% less water, 50% less fertilizer. Now let's go over here and let me show you one of my monster beets.
This one's trying to escape. It's breaking itself out of the pot.
Strawberries go really good in these towers.
Yeah, I love strawberries.
And you're going to taste a piece of lettuce. I'll bet you've never tasted lettuce that tastes like this, and I'm going to show you something special about it. Here's the secret. When I pull a piece of lettuce, see the white milk in there? I want you to just taste it. Okay, most people wouldn't even eat lettuce like this, and look at all the milk that's dripping off of that. So that milk generally disappears in about 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah. If you're not eating lettuce within 24 hours, you're missing a huge part of the antioxidant load that this lettuce carries. Even though we came from a powered up hydroponic background, we started looking at soils in a completely different light. The The more we study them, the more we know life as we know it actually comes from it.
We are here today because of very smart choices on the evolutionary path. And we are born from the soil that gives us life. All of our food comes from the soil. And so when we begin to destroy the biology of the soil, we destroy the food networks that give us life. And this is where we face an unprecedented circumstance.
If you go in and kill the soil, you kill off the earthworms, you kill off the biota of the soil, right? That soil's dead. All it's good for is washing out to the Gulf of Mexico. That's all it's good for. Unless you go back in, remulch the soil, reinvigorate the soil with biota, with life. Then you have a soil that can produce food.
Building soil, building living soil, is the highest activity human beings can be engaged in.
We can actually take, and store atmospheric carbon in the soil. We know that that can be done. It's physics. We just have to create the conditions for the soil to absorb it, right? And there's all kinds of ways to do that.
Over the last century, our farmers have been encouraged to rely on unsustainable synthetic inputs, gaining short-term boosts in production at a major cost to soil longevity. When combined with monocropping and repeated tilling, biodiversity is all but eliminated, eventually leaving nothing but dead dirt. This degradation accelerates erosion as lifeless dust is blown away and washed downstream. In the US, we're losing soil 10 times faster than it can be naturally replenished. However, in the longest study of its kind, after more than 30 years, organic agriculture has proven to match or surpass conventional yields, emit 35% fewer greenhouse gases, use 45% less energy, and build soil rather than deplete it. Studies show that the more soil health is holistically managed, the more food is actually grown. A strategy called no-till farming minimally disturbs fragile soil microbes, while cover crops are year-long plants which shield the ground, rather than leaving it exposed to the elements. No-till, cover crops, and composting all help retain water and generate more carbon-rich soil every year. These methods increase humic substances, one of the most important indicators of healthy soil. Humic substances are a critical component of decomposing organic matter, supporting the flow of essential plant nutrients and soil structure. A healthy tablespoon of soil contains an astonishing 6 billion microorganisms, tens of thousands of different species, each playing a vital role in the cosmic microbial ecosystem. Fungal mycelium networks act like a vast underground internet, transporting nutrients, water, carbon, and creating a stable structure which prevents erosion. With only a 1% increase of organic matter, soils hold an additional 25,000 gallons of water per acre, reducing the risk of both drought and flood. When plants absorb CO2, carbon is fed to microbes through the roots. As a storage container for what was once atmospheric carbon, enough healthy soil could offset virtually all greenhouse gases on the planet. These principles working in harmony are known as regenerative agriculture. By creating a more resilient and nutrient-dense food system, regenerative agriculture can not only feed the world, but may be the planet's only hope to actively reverse climate change. Like nothing else, increasing the health of our soils simultaneously addresses nearly all other environmental issues.
Just how beautiful that soil is. This stuff will grow anything.
It all boils down to the soil.
Yeah, and what microbes are working the soil. We have to start thinking about feeding the soil,
Right.
not feeding the plant.
It's something that I never really thought about. Had I gone out and planted something, I would have scooped up some dirt, threw a seed in, and called it a day. So to see how complex the soil is and how important it is to have a nutritious soil.
You can see right over there, you hear the tractors?
Yeah.
We're surrounded by development. And so what's happening is our land is going away. Now, the sock system can be deployed over the ground on man-made surfaces and put this beautiful soil in here and grow fully organic, super nutrient-rich food. 70% less water, 2.5 times faster growth, 50% less fertilizer, and over land that nobody's using. I mean, there's nothing about that that doesn't make sense. And that, to me, is the paradigm shift in urban agriculture. The question is, when's it going to go mainstream?
Where does your passion for this come from?
Well, as an old organic biochemist, I've always been curious as to how can we maximize a plant's genetic potential. So we've had a few anomalies in this farm lately. We've been using all of our vermicompost and we've been experimenting with our soils. This blue kale here used to be this size. It used to be one of these. They were all planted at the same time. This thing just found nirvana down in the soil. I mean, it's just an insanely healthy kale plant. Imagine if all of a sudden our soil blends could start producing crops that were of this scale. This stuff is just spectacular and getting the nutrition it needs. And it's not happening everywhere, but it's happening enough for us to realize that there is a secret here that we've got to unlock.
I'd been working with Eric Cutter at Alegria Farms. He had brought me on board as a soil consultant. I was bringing him rare earth resource materials that plants don't create by themselves. Some mycorrhizae, some biochar, something that he's like, biochar? Where'd you get the biochar? In Montana. And he said, how is Montana? And I said, I went to this place called the Green Powerhouse and I met this man, Michael Smith, who's amazing, he's brilliant. I knew it was just technology that was cutting edge. It's like a liquid biochar with some humic acid, and that's what plants need. They need a transporter and they need the carbon, a little air, and we have a healthy plant. So I gave Eric a sample, and within 24 hours he called me because the plant had changed color in 45 minutes after he applied this byproduct of this energy facility, the Green Powerhouse. He said,
Imagine how smart he would be had he not been hit by the car?
Yeah.
Or did that make him smarter?
I don't know. The school bus, I was very excited about them going to school. Then I ran across the street in front of a car that should have stopped for the bus, but it hit me about 40 miles an hour and just knocked me out of my shoes. The driver of the vehicle was uncertain that I was going to live, but fortunately he was a doctor. So I have this sort of good news, bad news kind of a life. You know, what do you want? You want me dead or do you want me alive? You know. He knew exactly what to do afterwards, and I believe that saved my life. After that, I didn't know who my parents were. It took me a long time to relearn everything that I knew. Diane thinks I'm a walk-in from another world.
Imagine how smart he would be had he not been hit by the car?
Yeah.
Or did that make him smarter?
I don't necessarily see myself as that smart. That's the problem. I got a chance to work with Walt Disney Studios. I worked with NASA. We worked with the FBI. We remastered Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon. We actually captured and digitized some of the Beatles stuff. I like to say that I was one of the first pioneers in 3D printing, long before 3D printers were known as such. I was working with the Dire Straits on a music video called Money for Nothing. I worked with physics engines that are used in video games. Games like FIFA and Madden, Grand Theft Auto and Halo. We tried to introduce more natural behaviors into character animations, which involved a lot of artificial intelligence. And I was offered the job at LucasArts, but they required that I live and stay in San Francisco. I thought, well, gee, I value my freedom. There's no job here for somebody doing artificial intelligence research. I thought, well, I can apply technology to biology and we can have dynamic systems that are controlled, completely natural, because we're not doing anything like GMOing or modifying the species. Rather than treating a character in a game as the main component, we thought, well, maybe we could use algae as a character. Turned down George Lucas. I don't know if that was the best decision, but it was a decision.
All checked and carry-on luggage is subject to search.
You and I are going to have some talks. Well, I've done some testing behind your back. Well, I compared it to some of the best root enhancement mediums. And there's some compounds in that that are quite different. We're an energy company too. Food is energy. So I have the same problem you do as saying, can we scale? And who's going to stop us from scaling? Big picture concerns that down the road Big Ag's going to pound on me and say, yeah, that's just getting a little bit out of hand right there. Hey, how do we hide out in Montana and all these niche areas that'll defend our power plants, and we can distribute the power without getting, squashed? Because we're all about taking it back. This new compound that's coming off the Green Powerhouse is a very powerful root stimulator, which means that it's a very powerful natural fertilizer. So this ought to be fun. Here we are, look at this. Look at that power plant. Wow, middle of Montana. Who would guess? The BioDomo, wow. All right, I already want one.
I believe it's a game changer. What the algae and the biochar together do is literally rejuvenate, revitalize, and remake soil. And I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. So, Michael Smith, this is Eric Cotter.
Eric Cotter, nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you as well. I'm a biochemist and oncologist by training. I grow food and I'm a chef. And so I started playing around with this stuff and I called Ken. I said, Ken, where'd you get this stuff?
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Michael is an extraordinary visionary. He was the visionary behind the company, even though it had several founders.
We discovered that the waste usually occurs when you short-circuit natural processes. You take carbon where it does the most good and you put it where it does the most damage. The rate that we're pushing the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere just overwhelms the planet's ability to capture it. We're trying to emulate something that nature is doing, and nature is inherently complex.
You realize that there's 1 billion microbes in this piece of soil the size of your little finger.
Oh yeah.
And we think we know it all. I mean, we can go to the moon, but we have no idea what's going on with those 1 billion microbes.
And what we're doing now, of course, are killing those microbes in the soil.
And we don't even know what we're killing and what ratios we're offsetting.
It's one of the battles that we're fighting against standard fertilizing concepts.
Right.
If I were to start a fertilizer company and I wanted just to maximize my profits and didn't care about anything else, what a great strategy, right? You put it on one year, you get good growth. The next year, the growth's not so good, so you have to add a little more. And then you add a little more, and pretty soon you've completely destroyed your soil. So we discovered, well, how can we integrate these components together to bring those cycles back into balance again? Well, the answer's been with us forever, right? All we had to do is open our eyes and look around.
Why don't we go in and see what you guys have created?
We'll go talk to the dragon.
What Michael calls the dragon is a state-of-the-art pyrolysis machine. When biomass like wood waste enters the Dragon, it's heated close to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The absence of oxygen prevents combustion, leaving behind a stable carbon structure, similar to charcoal. The extracted energy runs the entire green powerhouse off-grid, while creating enough excess electricity to meet the needs of roughly 100 homes. It would take over 3 acres of solar panels to accomplish this.
So the electricity is not our main product. We call that our waste byproduct.
Utility companies are going to love that one. Our waste byproduct is electricity.
This is 9,000-year-old technology, is to make this biochar. Our ancestors knew how to do this to fertilize the soil, and we've just reformatted it for the 21st century. It's pores within pores within pores.
Biochar is a form of extremely stable carbon, with exponential pores creating massive surface area in a tiny space. Just a 2-inch piece of biochar, if unfolded, would have the surface area the size of a football field. This structure is an optimal breeding ground for beneficial soil microbes, holding both water and nutrients where plant roots need them most.
It also creates space for air to get in,
and the soil
for
microbes
to get in. So all that stuff that is an essential component to the web gets recreated. You're putting back into the soil the infrastructure for soil regeneration.
Without the Dragon, this waste would end up in a landfill, releasing greenhouse gases as it decomposed. Instead, biochar locks this stable carbon back underground for hundreds or even thousands of years. Biochar is emerging as one of the planet's best solutions to climate change. One green powerhouse, or GPH, stabilizes over 1 ton of carbon every day. It takes roughly 50,000 trees to do the same.
You're fixing carbon.
And fixing carbon.
Pulling it out of the atmosphere and putting it back to where it belongs.
2 billion years of engineering experience. We include the algae into that. So I mentioned the liquid prairie. The heat necessary to operate this comes from the breakdown of the wood waste.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm learning a lot here. A lot. This is actually seriously exciting, how you're taking all these natural systems and linking them. Woo, look at this place. Don't fall in.
Algae is one of the primary organic material generators on the surface of the planet. It operates very fast. So the fact that we can take carbon dioxide, we can take water, and we can take sunlight, and we can create biomass from it is a big boon to this concept of generating soil, because that's the way it's been done for millions of years. All we've figured out how to do is take that and accelerate it.
Continuously fed CO2 from the Dragon, rapidly growing algae is harvested every day. Through biodigestion, algae is converted to a nutrient-rich organic fertilizer to be combined with biochar, creating a powerful soil rejuvenator. Methane, a byproduct of algae digestion, is sent back to the Dragon to heat and process more waste, completing the cycle. In each element of the green powerhouse, the output of one becomes the input of another, a true closed-loop system.
Yeah, and the algae tells us what it needs, right? So we have this sort of self-regulating system. That algae's been sucking up nitrogen as well as carbon dioxide
and other nutrient rich, big time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's high in energy. Well, a few people know this, but algae is higher in energy than coal per pound.
Really?
Right? So when we pull that energy out of there, we digest this, we're left with a really compact nutrient substrate that we can then use as part of our soil amendment. So in about 4 or 5 days, we can do what normally a normal digester will do in about a month.
So you've actually put an efficiency on an already known efficiency. So you're going to get humic substances out of this as a byproduct. What would it take in nature for that to occur with?
Well, if you include the carbon from the carbon engine, that's hundreds of years.
Okay, so you're doing in 4 to 5 days what nature would take
in about 400 years.
400 years.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
So, we don't want to push it too hard, but the idea is you create the environment and you monitor the environment and you accelerate the processes
Don't want to push it
naturally.
Too hard, but 4 to 5 days versus 400.
Yes.
Wow. I'm up here because I have a similar conundrum that you guys have. I see this power plant as an amazing opportunity to scale and to actually change the way we live and go back to natural processes that are zero waste. That's why I worry about this. I think you got a game changer here. You're going to have a lot of pushback, and you're all of a sudden taking on everybody. The entire energy world is now looking at you saying, okay, do we let this technology exist or not?
Yeah.
And I think what you guys are doing probably could be one of the greatest empowering tools that we've seen, because of all the different things that you're able to create with this. That's why I worry about it getting, squashed before it gets out.
After World War II, there was an excess of bomb-making material, which was turned into fertilizer, an excess of nerve gas, which was turned into pesticides. So the military-industrial complex moved into the agricultural-industrial complex and forced a model of chemical dependency.
Industrial agriculture, in my point of view, is first and foremost a war against the earth, because it is a war against all species, since you're bringing war chemicals into food production, and all they're doing is killing.
Putting chemicals onto the soil, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trying to backfill with some of the micronutrients. Trying to do that, we, in essence, killed the life in the soil.
When we denature soils by removing their biology, then we are really taking a step back hundreds of millions of years in time.
It is a war against every citizen, because food that comes out of that kind of war economy and war production is loaded with poisons, which then give us the epidemics of cancer, of allergies, of everything else that's going wrong because of a toxic, imbalanced diet.
Because we now have a vast array of toxins that we have in our body, and we have a reflection of the environment in which we live, we're now trying to adapt to suddenly influxes of toxins that have heretofore been unprecedented.
The United States Department of Agriculture, practically a Washington office for Monsanto, has, in their research over 14 years, has shown there has been no significant increase in yield because of GMOs. The idea, the sheer audacity of the idea that we can fight nature is dead on arrival. We cannot fight nature. You cannot blow things up or poison things to the extent that where you, quote, win.
I think people around the country have realized that the FDA and the USDA are not going to fix their food system, that they actually have to do it themselves. It's a challenge to live in a world where our government cannot be counted on to defend us from an industrial food system that's actually making us sick.
44 billion pounds of chemical fertilizers are used each year. Synthetic fertilizers disrupt the soil's balance of microbes, beneficial fungus, and organic matter. As biodiversity decreases, more fertilizers are required to achieve similar results. Now pesticides and herbicides must be used to fight off weeds and bugs that would normally be handled by a healthy ecosystem. Up to 50% of nitrogen fertilizers are washed away with rain and irrigation water. A drastic pollution leading to an ocean dead zone the size of New Jersey. Contributing to dead zones are animal factory farms, easily the most pollutive activity on the planet. In the US, more than 1/3 of our fossil fuels, 1/2 of all water, and 80% of our farmland is used in the raising of animals and the grain to feed them. Most of these grains are genetically modified organisms. Over 80% of GMOs are specifically engineered to withstand higher doses of a powerful chemical called glyphosate, which the state of California has officially labeled as carcinogenic. The use of glyphosate has risen 10,000% since 1974. Independent studies confirm contamination of our food, air, and even our rainwater, while extremely low doses have been shown to cause liver and kidney damage, with correlation to a host of other side effects. In spite of public outcry, the USDA, FDA, and EPA require no testing for the pollution of this chemical in our food supply. The philosophy of using GMOs and glyphosate is one of sterilization. Kill everything except the crop. The exact opposite of farming in ways which regenerate soil and biodiversity.
A worldwide rally against genetically modified food giant Monsanto is being held across the globe.
Speaker is the youngest activist in Orange County right now.
Activists are protesting the use of potentially harmful chemicals in food production, something Monsanto says is the only way to feed the globe's growing population.
Petition the Girl Scouts for GMO-free cookies.
I'm asking you, Girl Scouts of America, let's show the world what these cookies can really do.
I told you I had a special guest, Alicia Sorrentos. Alicia, how old are you?
7.
There was a newspaper article about it and that we weren't selling cookies, so then that's when the council contacted me and said, hey, let's discuss alternate ideas for fundraising. I was like, this is awesome, we did it, you know? It was like literally an ambush. They had no intention of hearing any of our ideas. It was support and promote or step down. I felt betrayed. Here I had put so much time into it and now they're saying, sell the cookies or you're done, so.
Dear Ana Maria Chavez, please make cookies without GMOs. Whoever signed my petition, thank you.
So you're trying to remove GMOs from Girl Scout cookies, and you've got a petition of 10,000 signatures.
15,000 signatures! 21,000 signatures. It's been a year and a half, and with your help, we have 30,000 signatures! Bum, bum, bum!
A box of Girl Scout cookies is not a political statement. It is an investment in a girl and her dreams and in your local communities and in the leadership of tomorrow.
Part of making this farm a success is to try to get enough revenue in here to prove that a farm like this can support 2 or 3 young men working on it. And so we're struggling to find a way to make that work. It's very easy to grow food. It's not easy to grow superior food and very nutrient-dense food because you have to treat the soil properly, but it's very easy to grow food. And of course, there's always been an influx of food from all over the planet, which we're competing with, and it's being flown in, from 1,500 to 5,000 miles away every day. So for a small micro farm like ours to compete, we have to be very special. Our total route right now is centered around a radius of about 10 miles. From harvest to the time everything's delivered, it's about 1 hour. Truly farm to table in minutes.
You would think that it's such an important part of everyone's daily life experience that you would think that people would actually care about what they eat. Not only do they not know where their food comes from, but they don't really care that much about it. They don't think about it. The trick is, the challenge is, to not only find resilient ways of farming that build soil as opposed to depleting soil, that result in water stewardship and land stewardship, but that also have an economic return. If consumers don't actually make purchases based upon their values, then these sustainable farming practices are going to disappear. If these farms can't survive, then consumers will have no opportunity to buy anything based upon their values. They'll simply have to buy what the industrial food system gives them.
Roughly 2,800 calories for every human being on the planet are produced every single day. More than enough to feed the world right now. What we have is a distribution problem. The average bite of food travels over 1,500 miles to make it to your grocery store. Yet history shows, in times of need, we can effectively localize our food. During World War II, 20 million home gardens produced 40% of the nation's food. Today, Demand for local food is on the rise. U.S. farmers markets have more than quadrupled in the last 20 years. Every effort, big or small, to localize food in regenerative urban farms, school, and community gardens, or your own backyard, helps displace our reliance on destructive industrial agriculture. Even new technologies like indoor vertical farming help reduce our soil sabotaging footprint. Yet instead of supporting these efforts, 30 billion tax dollars artificially lower the price of food grown in centralized, monocropped, synthetically fertilized, toxic soils, contributing to an estimated $3 trillion of environmental damage every single year. We pick food before it's ripe, ship it all over the world, and eventually a nutrient-depleted, contaminated product makes it to our plate.
When people ask me about how to fix our food system, they always say, you know, where is the center for this whole new food movement in the United States? And I always say, there isn't a center. It's happening everywhere at the same time. And they say, well, who is the figurehead of the movement? And I always say, there is no figurehead, because if you're talking about fixing our food system by making it more local, the figurehead, the great leader, is that person in your community.
All in all, we've now come to the point after a little over 2 years that we have a farm that's been proven out, that actually can support 3 jobs, that is now actually growing. I mean, our revenues are starting to grow. The restaurants around here are starting to take notice. So I feel like we finally hit critical mass. And the critical mass was build it and they will come for sure, but you got to build it. And we still don't have a guarantee on how long we'll be here, but it's allowed us a chance to light that fire. I believe we needed to light a small fire, and I think this is a very hot, small fire.
One Orange County farmer may have found the farm of the future.
Can you describe the taste of that spinach?
So much flavor, night and day from the bagged stuff.
Really?
I've never tasted anything like it before, I'm being perfectly honest, and the best strawberry I've ever tasted.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hyperspace is a data visualization that allows you to be involved in the creation and translation of your design concepts. The hyperspace model uses a style.
Actual units, hyperspace digitizing. GPH is an 8-sided thing, this is a 6-sided thing. So we're very much into sacred geometry. Anyway, the application for the hyperspace modeler, they were really vast. It eventually evolved into medical applications, creating models that were more organic looking, rather than things that were robotic. Everybody was using computers at that time to build spaceships, and hardly ever we would see a human heart. It was kind of an interesting time in the old days.
He's figured out a way to write code to talk to nature, to have nature tell him as a system operator what it needs to maximize its gift to us. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And so he's harnessing what nature's doing, and he laughs about it because he's so brilliant, but
basically all we have to do is emulate natural systems here, and we can accelerate them. So everything we're doing with the sequester of the carbon, with the digestion of the algae, those are all natural processes that are in a closed loop, and all we've done is figure out a way to accelerate it.
I think it's the unique thing. What I don't see in all the projects is they don't close the loop. Nobody closes the loop with the exhausts and everything recycling and going back in. Carbon is our friend. There's nothing wrong with carbon. It's in what form it's in is what causes the problems all the way across the spectrum. Michael's brilliant on that stuff.
He just has an extraordinary ability to synthesize information from a variety of industries, if you will, agriculture and technology, and bring them together in new ways. He's incredibly talented at that. He's, I think, one of the best there is. And the powerhouse is a demonstration of that.
We will either save ourselves with stuff like this, or we won't. And if we don't deserve to be here.
Half of this, I believe, has been just downloaded into Michael, and it's bigger than any one of us.
Michael's a unique individual. We even had people come here that wanted to look at the process. They'd call him the mad scientist. He'll ride by here, and I'll bet you couldn't even guess what's going on in there. He goes, yeah, I was thinking on the way here, Chuck. I go, I can tell that. So you can tell when people's gears turn. He's doing multiple gears at a time.
When you take a walk in the woods, you watch nature's processes of what's going on, and then you walk through those doors, you know.
This is where I say, welcome to Jurassic Park.
It's pretty amazing, actually. It's pretty amazing. It's basically what we're here to do, is to work with nature. I'm not quite sure nature ever had a partner like that, of anybody listening.
The green powerhouse requires almost no additional input, outside of what is already being sent to landfills in astronomical amounts. The GPH maintains an indoor tropical climate, even growing bananas and pineapples, while Montana winters reach as low as -20 degrees outside. Providing a half-acre of vertical grow space, plants can thrive in virtually any region on the planet. Beyond powering 100 homes, the GPH's excess energy could support dozens of additional greenhouses. Now imagine GPHs all over the world, processing waste to power communities, providing fresh local food, reversing climate change, and regenerating soil in virtually any environment.
They're disrupting, which is kind of a scary concept, but they're disrupting food, fuel, and fertilizer all in one little powerhouse, which to me represents the ultimate paradigm shift in agriculture. I mean, imagine now if these powerhouses could supply local communities with 50, 60 greenhouses worth of produce, and they're all off-grid and they're all carbon negative. I mean, it just completely changes the way everything works. It ultimately leads to energy independence, food security, food independence. I mean, we the people are now taking it back, and I think that's an exciting proposition. We just heard a rumor that there is a possibility that we might lose our farm. There's some talk about possibly putting in some ice skating rinks or developing this area here, and that would be a real shame. We've just got it to the point where it's working, and spent a lot of money and quite a few years building it and designing it, and I hope it doesn't happen, but it happens a lot around here. So it's probably one of the greatest problems that farmers face, is that land is too expensive for them to buy, and so you're not sure whether or not you're going to be moved off next year, next month, or whatever. So it's very hard where farmers are trying to grow food on land that they don't own. The city would make the call. Is the priority to develop more access to local food, or is it to build more condos? And of course, in Orange County, we've seen the answer to that story very clearly. It's build more condos. So we're sitting on pins and needles right now. We're not sure what's going to happen to our farm. Well, I've always grown my own food. When I first started the Alegria farm, I started it here actually at the house. I had 22 towers, vertical towers here stacked all over the house. We were raised on just amazingly fresh food. My mother was the one who always taught me that food was medicine. And back then, I mean, when you look back, you realize that our food supply actually hadn't been quite so tainted 40 years ago. So that's part of what's going on now, is that we are dealing with much poorer soils than we had 40 years ago, and hence the decrease in quality of the food.
A soil is not inert. It is a living colonies of complex organisms. And as we lose habitats, biodiversity will go below the threshold heretofore not yet known, where then the ecosystem begins to unravel.
When you're deeply aware of how the bees and the butterflies are vital for your pollination, when you're deeply aware of how many soil organisms feed us, you don't spray poisons that will kill them.
You can kick the can down the road and you can put off those external costs, which is what they're called, costs that aren't factored into the price that you see on the shelf. You can push those external costs down the road, but ultimately that can comes to a stop. These are non-trivial impacts of the real cost of cheap food.
We produce all that food, we get it to market, we go in, we buy it, we take it home, we refrigerate it until we throw it away. And we throw it away rather than putting it in compost. I mean, at least we put it into compost, I would have we could ameliorate some of that. It's almost a sin.
Over 97% of food waste ends up in landfills, disconnecting the soil's natural nutrient cycle. Millions of tons of organic matter rotting away, emitting greenhouse gases like CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide. But what if something we literally treat as trash became one of the planet's most applicable resource solutions? Composting can turn that food waste into new soil. But less than 3% of this resource is currently being used. With backyard compost piles, or utilizing your city's green waste collection, anyone and everyone can participate to help store huge amounts of water, carbon, and returning vital nutrients to our soils without the use of chemical fertilizers.
Recycling's been taking place for a lot of years. People know about recycling an aluminum can, but when I was just a little girl, my father told me it ought to be a crime to landfill anything organic. Our soil is starving for organic matter. What I love about what Eric is doing at Alegria Farms is it's demonstrating what we know we can do in a small space. And it's a huge concentration of organic material in the socks. The fact you can concentrate this amount of activity, life in the soil around the roots of the plant, and then the plants can grow huge. I mean, who can't love a guy that makes a salad right at the farm's table that tastes better than anything you've ever had? And by dinner time, you're not hungry. Why? Because of the density of the nutrients.
If we start refocusing some of our energies on the importance of soil and how soil can mitigate just about everything, including water quality and climate change, that to me should become a curriculum that should be as important in any science class in school as anything else we're teaching. You guys, this is fully composted soil. So look at that. Anybody want to smell this and smell how good it smells?
No.
No, don't smell it.
Ew.
It smells good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does it smell like?
Just
Like a forest?
Yeah.
Smell it. It smells fresh, doesn't it?
Roly-poly.
It becomes a thing, I think, when you teach children when they're young, that it becomes a nurturing instinct and everybody's got it. If you don't learn it when you're young, then it's kind of intimidating when you get older. To have access to great food requires us to take care of the resources that produce that food, and to teach kids how important it is to rebuild and compost and understand the connection to nature and how soil works to create their food supply. It all is connected together. Thank you. All right, you keep teaching everybody about food, okay? Or you be the spokesman. All right. Right on.
We're trying to change Girl Scout cookies so they're healthier and Right now we have at least 45,000 signatures.
I tried to schedule a meeting with Girl Scouts. They ended up saying, yes, we'll meet you. You know, she got excited when I said, oh, they're gonna meet with us. Maybe she doesn't know the gravity of her actions, and maybe she doesn't really understand how big a deal it is. It was just inspiring to me.
Julia Love said right is right even if no one else does it. So that's why I'm here today delivering my petition. GMOs are genetically modified organisms. There have been no long-term testing done and they could be harmful. It's time to do the right thing and get GMOs out of the cookies. Thank you.
You did really good. I'm proud of you.
And then last minute they decided that they weren't going to meet us. They said that the representative that was going to be meeting us was going to be in a meeting.
At Girl Scouts, we stand for giving girls the opportunity to develop into strong, confident, courageous adults who are committed to making the world a better place.
Everything kind of had to be focused around this one meeting that now wasn't happening. She said, well, that's okay, we can go anyway. Hi, we wanted to come up to the shop, Monica Serratos. I mean, they obviously knew about the petition. They know who Alicia is. We've sent a lot of letters.
Excuse me.
I'm on hold for Girl Scouts. They hung up on me. They were expecting us, so they know what our intentions were. Hi, I just called. We're trying to go up to the shop. That's okay. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, thanks. You want to hold on to that? It's heavy, I know. And then that is your gift for Ana Maria Chavez.
And Mama, you know what? They could have seen out the window.
Oh, maybe.
They took your name?
Yes.
Okay, go there and give him your name and he's going to give you a pass.
Okay.
Then you go.
I know. It gets heavy. Girl Scout shop. Serratos.
He's cold, eh?
Yeah. So what do I? Okay.
MSc shipping?
So close. I have to wait. They didn't put my name on there. It's a big part of my daughter's childhood. It would have been a cool experience to go up and see what happens at headquarters, but unfortunately we were denied that privilege. Do you think they're going to send somebody down?
No, she called it right. They saw you out the window and they've sized it up. They're just going to freeze you out.
For them not to take the time to listen to my daughter, it's heartbreaking. Here I am representing Girl Scouts, and then to be denied even to get up into the shop or to have someone sit down and listen to one of their own Girl Scouts. It's heartbreaking and it's frustrating, and I don't know, it makes me question the organization sometimes. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that say, you know, they're not doing what you feel is right nutritionally with selling the cookies or not listening to your daughter, and why don't you find another organization or start your own? And for me, there's so many things about Girl Scouts that I do like, that I think are beneficial for all girls. And instead of walking away from it, I feel like I can set an example for my kids and my Girl Scouts by staying in it and trying to make a change just like Alicia is doing.
It's the 24th of January, 2015, 12:41 p.m. I'm out at the GPH, which caught on fire this morning at approximately 4 a.m. And the GPH is a total loss. Adam DeYoung, the Chief Operating Officer of Allergy Aquaculture Technologies. The GPH has been completely lost. Hopefully we'll be able to salvage the foundation, but the rest of the structures is gone, as you can see in the background behind me. You know, we were making a really hard push. We had a 6-month goal to support all of our own salaries and operations here. So we'd be self-sustaining and then continue to try and sell the technology, but really prove the value of the products that we're producing, which have proven to be very valuable in trials with everybody who's tried them. But that's no longer feasible.
One night, last Friday, fitful sleep. I couldn't sleep. I'm laying there, I'm half going in and out, and around 4:30 a.m. the telephone rings, and I knew it could not be good news. It happened to be the manager of the mill, and he was on the phone. He goes, "Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. You know, but the green powerhouse is burned down. It's a total loss." And I was like, you know, shock. You know, you feel the physical shock. You actually feel numbness in your hands, and you're going, how could that possibly be that we could have lost this thing because it was such a, you know, vibrant, dynamic thing. For me, it was difficult thinking, well, what in there is combustible? You know, I'm going, what could possibly burn in there? Still unclear on how the fire got started, you know. I don't want to say that we saw people running around the field with coveralls on, but you know, I'm sorry about that. But you know, what actually was burning in there? That's the question I have. So there's a possibility, you know, there are people that don't necessarily want to see bioenergy be successful, but I can't say, you know, if there was anybody involved. So hopefully we'll recover from this. I'm not one for conspiracy theories. You know, that's not where I like to go. I always like to think there's a good scientific explanation for everything. But right now I can't see the scientific explanation behind what happened. Oh my God. Look at that. The remnants of the GPH. The dragon and the dragon's lair, that's all perfectly fine. The one thing that you would think would burn because of the heat.
Yeah, I'm gonna need your name.
My name is Michael Smith.
Hey, Brad, he says his name is Michael Smith.
Right. I know the name.
I was the one that saw the fire, that noticed it.
You turned it in?
Yep, yeah. I saw the flames coming up in a perfect square. I say, call the fire department, it's a structure fire. It looks like the AACT building is on fire. They had a lot of water on this fire really quick. They did a good job.
But obviously they couldn't save any of the structure.
It had come through the roof of the building And when it vented air in, it just took off after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. It's like a person who's died in your life. You called or you talked to every day, and now that person is unavailable. It was more than just a building. It represented sort of an ecological system. When it went away, it was like, well, what am I going to do today? Oh man, I remember, every beam, every piece of that unistrut going up, all of that. It is unbelievable. There's nothing salvageable here other than the concepts. The official report is that, it had to do with some biochar that was not completely extinguished. It was on the outside, but looking at the BTU rating of charcoal versus the devastation we're looking here and the amount of heat that needed to be generated, I'm a little suspicious. Wow, look at this. This is a device that's meant to withstand the combustion of a car engine. Look what's happened to the metal in there. It's completely melted. So we know the heat in there got to be pretty intense. I kept feeling like there's a block about going forward, and now that roadblock is gone. But the road is also gone. So now we can go straight up if we want.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That old saying is coming pretty true right now. We just got notice they are going to replace our farm with skating rinks, 2 professional NHL skating rinks and 2 community rinks. So we're going to freeze water and provide more entertainment for people, and we're going to get rid of the farm. And we live in such an entitled region, and I think most of the time when it comes to technology, California's way ahead, but I think we're sorely behind the country when it comes to this movement. And it's because people think they're safe out here. You look at the big picture, nobody's safe. A small earthquake that splits the 5 freeway here in Orange County 1 inch. The trucks don't roll for 2 months. Every city has about 4 days food supply. Where's the food going to come from? And there's really not a lot of education or people wanting to do the research. They really don't want to know the answer. It's kind of like ignorance is bliss. Yeah, I am a little frustrated, and that's part of what drives me, but it's not a frustration. I'm not angry. I'm very much a realist. I knew going in that this was fighting up a river. I also knew that it was worth everything I could do to throw it at it. It's sad in a way, but it's good because it's a reality check. Where are we headed? I mean, where are we really going? And I think that's going to be defined by the political will, and it's going to be defined even more by where we set our priorities. About 2010, my brother's young boy, Aiden, had an autoimmune disease pop up, and this was a really tough one. Both kidneys were about on the verge of failure, and they were dumping proteins into the blood. And There's no question that I believe that it was a poor food, poor diet, too much salt, oil, and sugar in the diet. They were just eating too much garbage. And so this little boy's immune system just collapsed, and next time I saw him, he was in a hospital all hooked up with pipes. And I mean, I actually was pissed. I mean, I have to admit, that was the feeling. I was mad. And I thought, I was mad at my brother. And of course, my brother and I didn't talk for a year because he knew I blamed him for it. But I was also mad at myself because I said, you know, I got to get out there now and start teaching people how to do this because I know how to do it. And that was the moment that triggered me to do it. You know, a lot of people talk about it, but you got to go out and do it. And that's really how it all started.
And being up here now and being a part of this company and all the work that's gone into it is just, it's doing something that I believe in, and I know that everyone that I'm working with believes in. It's doing something that I think can change the world.
The vision for tonight was to just connect and share, you know, your memories and impressions about what the GPH meant to you.
I just wanted to say that I remember very well all of those days, lifting panels, soldering, welding, and I'm going, hey, I'm a computer scientist.
Everybody, even today, there's so much conversation here today about the future.
The phoenix is rising and we're on a big ride, and you know, we're still a small core, but you know, I think we're just ready to expand and take this to the next level.
And I personally invite you to help us seed the future for the next one that we build.
So that we're all able to realize that and see the next one. So thank you all.
If you know the history, we got grants from the Department of Agriculture. I actually think that's what's held us up. I mean, these are, you know, feds that are supposed to be wanting to do this. And there was no follow-up, and you kind of wonder, where'd they go and why? Everybody's in the same game, and you put this in and it threatens the game. They were doing economic development for the Pacific Rim. So they threw an expo of technologies that would affect that. Of course, every technology applied, all the new stuff was out there. And, you know, we just put an application in. I mean, we were picked out of, you know, thousands. That unto itself speaks volumes. Okay, so put everybody's cards on the table, and then you pick the ones that you want to see change the world, and you're one of them. You have to say, somebody got it. Everybody just was crazy about it. And that just never went anywhere. And once again, it's the feds were involved. You know what I mean? So, just saying, when you get the big boys involved, somewhere in a board meeting, somebody's going, free energy? Maybe, you know, free fuel? Okay. You know what I mean? This isn't going to work. This won't help us. And I think that's true.
You know, thinking about the fire, if it was arson, and I'm not saying that it is, if it was, that sucks. However, he's hit about every challenge I can conceive, and I'm sure there's tons that are out there that I can't conceive, but he just keeps going.
"6 years of my life has just been, you know, I can't say wasted, but is gone.
You know, it was depressing. But then, you know, what we had was each other.
Michael and Diane put everything they make into it. I mean, she's recycling and taking the recycle money and putting back into it. So, you know what I mean? It's really that.
It was hard to go out there. I didn't go out there for 3 months. It was just, there's no way I could just go look at the rubble.
Yeah, here's some old GPH scrap here.
When we saw that this project was going to consume our lives, it's like we nicknamed it our energy baby. He's just got this spirit that you see in his eyes. It was a love at first sight kind of thing.
It puts stress on a relationship. Occasionally we lose our minds, start screaming at the top of our lungs, running off into the woods, just, you know, why are we doing this, you know? Anybody else would have given up by now. Suddenly our source of revenue, our revenue stream just disappeared on us. And that put a lot of undue pressure on the company. Until we get the system up and running again, it's going to be quite a struggle to make this all work.
Our society as a whole has a need of a soul healing. This is the reason I think we have so many problems in society today, is that we have these souls that yearn. In 1985, I was completely bereft. It was a February day and it was raining. I had gone through a job interview and had been turned down again. You know, I was in a suit. I really felt as though society had deemed me a marginal person, and wandered fruitlessly. I knew I had to change, but I didn't know what was changing. I didn't know how it was going to change. And I had parked in a parking lot for a community garden. I got out of the car in the rain and walked through that garden. There was a feeling of such hopelessness and despair that there was no reason to continue. There was no reason to go on. And yet, walking through that garden somehow reaffirmed my worth, because I knew these plants. And these plants were talking to me.
I've reached out to the Girl Scouts and they still haven't gotten back to me. You never know what could be happening there. Trouble could be happening. They're either busy or they're just not listening. But we're still gonna keep trying.
Hi, Alicia. How you doing? You cannot have food security if you cannot be seed secure.
I met David King and he talked to me about how seeds are really important.
These people are telling us that they're going to feed the world, right, with less diversity than what we had before, and that's not the way towards abundance. That's the way towards starvation.
Some seeds have already gone extinct because people aren't saving them. And if we don't save seeds and all of them are gone, we won't have food.
Anytime you engage nature in a fight, you're losing. You're going to lose sooner or later. And look we've got super weeds now. We've got super insects now. These people inventing these GMOs, were they creationists? Did they think that the bugs and the insects weren't going to change? Good grief, no. That's why I think having a seed library where the seeds are growing out year after year, they respond. There's a dance in nature where the plant gets better, the weeds get better, insects get better, the plant gets better, the weeds get better, the insects get better. And that evolution is important. And it's important for our food, it's important for the entire balance of things.
The amount of extinction that's going on in seed varieties is unprecedented. Now, that's the source of our agricultural diversity, that's the source of our food security, especially at a time of global climate change. If the biotech industry has their way, they eliminate that diversity and put the entire food security at risk for greater profit.
So we are creating a food scarcity system in the name of providing food. My own work is at the level of ecological science. I look at farming systems as a whole, how biodiversity produces more nutrition when you save the seeds and grow the foods.
What do you think? You want to start a seed library at your school? Is that something you think you could be in charge of?
Lots of fun.
Yeah?
You can destroy everything. You can take away our books and our writings and destroy our cultures. You can kill every tree till no bird, no insect can find a place to hide. You can do that and more. I do not fear your tyranny. I do not despair ever, because I save one seed, which I will sow and plant again.
Everybody thinks water is the biggest problem we have, and oil, right? That's what you always hear. We got big energy problems. Well, what's the most important energy that you guys are dealing with every day? The most important, what is it called? Food. So what's the problem with our food today? Anybody know? Okay, it's not healthy. That's a really great answer. It travels so far most of the time that it's dead. You guys are all young and you guys are being subjected to a food supply that's in bags, and you know, it's not natural. You're hardly ever eating food that you just picked, you know, right out of a good clean soil that has high nutrition in it. So this system actually allows you to do that. So we can lay these out over the top of cement. We can put them on a parking lot. There's about 40 square miles of unused land in Orange County and Los Angeles County right now. Unused.
The whole idea for the garden, I think, came from just wanting access to better nutrition. I just thought school garden would be cool.
Rather than selling Girl Scout cookies, they had raised money already for a future school garden.
I drew some examples of what we should get with the money. So when it was grass, we had to figure out where the beds would go.
The suggestion of the city of Mission Viejo was, let's just spray it with Roundup. And so obviously we said that's not going to work for our organic garden.
We were able to break ground and got some beds in there, and little by little it's kind of grown.
What are the things that plants need? Air, sun, water, and what's the last one? Nutrients. You just hit it. And by the way, 4 things that our own bodies need, right? So look at the soil and pretend it's your blood. Whatever's in that soil, as soon as you eat that plant, it's in your blood. We're going to teach you to fish. We're not going to give you a fish. And then guess what? When you guys learn this, you're going to be independent. You're going to be safe. Okay, that's total security when you guys know how to grow your own food.
And then now we have the garden. People are having a good experience with it.
When I see our garden space, it makes me think like this is just a mini little world that we created here on campus. When I see the butterflies flying around, or when I see a hummingbird or the bees, it's a whole completely different picture than just growing food. There's nothing that's ever going to compare to like saying your child or you helped plant a seed and you watched it grow and I ate it. Nothing really compares to that. That's something money can't buy. We give to the plants and the plants give to us. And I think it's remembering that cycle and remembering that it's not the world and nature and then us. We have to mutually live together. Because the fact is, if we forget that, there's gonna come a point in time where we're gonna destroy that.
We have to keep going. We have to keep pushing forward on this. You know, you can see right now the planetary systems are in trouble. At this point in my life, I kind of look at it and go, well, I can't imagine doing anything else, to tell you the truth. Sort of like, what, I'm going to go back and make video games? I mean, how meaningful is that? Right? Let's go make a whole bunch of money. You know, how meaningful is that when you can't eat or there's no water? You know, it's just, it's crazy.
There's hard work that needs to be done, and it's not pretty, but it needs to be done. Those alert enough among us are obligated to help. You don't get points for doing the right thing, and that's the right thing. Just have to do it.
In many cases, it's just as simple as becoming more connected to your community, thinking more locally, and realizing that every community has assets, whether it's people or organizations or even resources that they can draw on to find solutions.
So what's happening now with the internet and with independent media is that people are realizing that they're not alone, and that these fantastic values, community-based and proper agriculture, et cetera, they're all actually on the rise enormously around the planet.
The rule of evolution is those organisms that can adapt to change triumph. It's an all hands on deck, not only just of humans, but it's very important that we preserve biodiversity, because biodiversity is biosecurity. So keeping that all in balance is the eloquent dance that we have to be involved in as we dance across the landscapes through our lives.
The future of our food system is in our hands. Agriculture can either erode our planet to the point of no return, or it can become a regenerative force to heal our soils, restore ecosystems, and create true food security. The actions taken within the next few years will have environmental ramifications lasting for generations.
In life, the phrase, "it's too late," doesn't work. Life is about renewal. Life is about healing. Life is about bursting forth again and again and again.
I look around, I see children, and I think that we've got to try for them.
Take a couple.
You know, and the honest truth is that as long as I can breathe, there's a reason to try. If it can be averted, or even partially averted, what comes after me, I owe that to them.
Solutions and opportunities are happening everywhere. People from all walks of life are shopping organic, supporting local regenerative farmers, and even growing some of their own food. Whether you have lots of land, a small backyard, or even just a balcony, solutions like vertical farming, composting, biochar, seed saving, and school gardens are all ways to protect and support our planet's soils.
I'm looking at the connection of soil health equals human health equals planet health. The solution is access to nutrient-dense food. But there are very few places where people can actually see, taste, feel, participate, an interactive farm, if you will, that makes that connection.
I just wanted the world to be a better place, and it's kind of exciting to see that stuff is changing.
What else do we have to do that's of any importance? Now, what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind for the future generations?
With only 60 years of farmable soil remaining, how to feed the world without destroying the earth is truly the issue of our time. To say that we care about the future of this planet, to say that we care about the survival of our species, and to not take action is simply no longer an option. As active participants in our interconnected food ecosystem, we each have the power to help heal this planet we call home. Everybody eats, and everybody can be part of the solution.
It was never about this one system. It was about demonstrating an example of how we can take care of ourselves and the planet. It's really about presenting a way of thinking in terms of closed-loop, renewable systems. We need energy, we need food, and we can live in harmony with the planet. I believe we can. There is an urgency to the situation we're facing on this planet. A lot of us can see it, we know it, we feel it, but it seems like it's overwhelming. But we can solve these problems. It's not too late. We can do much better.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this important film. I can't express how grateful I am that we could partner with Food Revolution Network and be able to share this free viewing with so many people. We spent the last 5 years working on this urgent story because we're convinced there's more than just hope out there. As you saw, there are real-world solutions that we need to implement right away. So this is where we take a stand. We've been given an awesome responsibility to be alive in a time when we can literally affect the future of life on Earth. The world really needs us, and now it's our turn. Alicia, Eric, Michael can't do it alone. So if you feel inspired or grateful for what you've just seen, I want to ask you to please consider investing in your health and supporting our mission by taking advantage of the one-time only offers that you'll find here on this page. Right now, directly under the film, is a link to buy lifetime access for just $7. And if you want to take the next step and put this all into action, then please consider owning the Need to Grow Impact Kit. We created the Impact Kit with Alicia, Eric, Michael, and a lot of our other friends and partners because we want to give you the precise knowledge and the tools you need to heal your body and heal our planet at the same time. Over the past year, as we toured film festivals, audiences really embraced this story, and everywhere we went, we saw people who were eager to put what they learned into action. I imagine you can relate. So if you want to enjoy nutrient-dense food that gives you more energy and vitality, find easy ways that you can grow right at home, even if you don't have much space, time, or money to invest. Maybe you want to learn more about biochar or the green powerhouse, or how to protect your family from pesticides and GMOs, or how to heal your gut and microbiome, or maybe home composting and how you can turn your food waste into brand new healthy soil. If in fact any of that is true, the impact kit is for you. You'll rest easy knowing that your food scraps aren't contributing to one of our biggest sources of atmospheric pollution. Feeling empowered that you're now growing even a small percent of your very own nutrient-dense, fresh, healing foods. Saving serious money growing medicinal herbs right on your balcony. You can do all this and be proud to have implemented small changes that can protect our planet's future. And as you lead by example, inspire others with how easy it is to transform into a solutionist yourself. The Impact Kit is a brand new 15-part high-quality series of video classes with top experts and some of my favorite teachers. We're going to walk you through simple strategies to join in on all the great ideas that you saw in the film and many more. You'll also get the entire uncut, extended interviews with all the world-class experts from the film itself. Very special deleted scenes with our heroes that Ryan and I honestly never thought we'd be able to release. And get this, more than $500 worth of health boosting bonuses. Plus you also get lifetime access to the film, and if you like, we'll even ship you a physical DVD as well at no additional cost. And maybe the best news is the price. You see, normally the Impact Kit sells for $197, and that's quite a deal for all that we're including. But right now, I want to offer you an extreme discount that's only for people who've watched the film and are on this page. Because if you're still here, I know you're someone who cares and who wants to take action. And I want to help you take the next step. So right now, only from this page, you can get the Impact Kit, including all 15 expert video lessons, all the extended interviews, the deleted scenes, all the bonuses, and a free DVD copy of the film. You can invest in your health and be part of the solution on planet Earth, all for just $67. That's a 65% savings. Plus, it all comes with a 60-day total money-back guarantee, because that's how sure we are that you're going to love it. So thank you again for watching the film. And if you feel motivated to support our mission and your health, this is the best time for the best price you will ever see. Thanks again.